Hey YouTube, this is Dragnix, and I wanted to do this video because I got 100 subscribers and I wanted to explain a little bit more of why I'm doing this. There was a little bit of a backstory here, so for those who don't want to, take a part of this, turn the video off if you don't want to know about me. This is going to be just me sort of rambling about what drove me to start doing this and why I chose to do this. So if you I am going to put TF2 footage in the background here. TF2 is probably my most game played over the last several years, so I do know somewhat what I'm doing. I like playing all the classes, so you're going to see a variety of gameplay here. So, backstory. I graduated in 2008 from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign for computer science. I am a software engineer, or I was a software engineer. Due to some circumstances that were sort of caused by myself in terms of me wanting to wait to go on a family vacation and not doing the job search like I should have, I actually ended up at a company called SPX Gen Fair, where my dad was working. So during my time, I worked there about, I want to say 6 years almost. And that taught me a lot of things, but it sort of is the backstory for what this story is about, and how I became to do the YouTube and Tech Raptor and things like that. So I was a software engineer, and I was pretty good at my job. I got 2 awards in terms of presidential awards because of performance, constant raises, constant, approval, and yet the company I was working at is very, very old school. And old school in the sense of they were really unwilling to change the way they did things. People who were in charge, unfortunately, were very hesitant to make changes that were considered it reckless, even though it was an industry standard for things like source control, things like automated testing and things like that. One of the things I struggled with was the fact that I was dealing with people who did not want to change, and yet there were simple solutions for these problems that we were facing on a daily basis, and no one wanted to hear about it. About a year and a half ago and a year ago, we had a new software engineer manager, and things were looking up at that point. We were having problems as a company, and one of the projects was a project called Tucson, and she had come to me at the time and asked if I could take over the project, if I could be the project lead. I started as just the Scrum Master at that point, but I sort of took over the responsibility of, coordinating people and things like that. Needless to say, that project sort of got turned around. I did things that I had never thought I could do. I thought, manage a bunch of people, manage a bunch of things in terms of, movement and things like that. Not movement, I mean more so tasks and things like that. And I thought that by proving that would give me a edge in terms of showing, hey, look, I can do these things. I've shown that I can do software. Let me do some things for this company that will take it into the future. Needless to say, that didn't happen. The problem that I faced there was the fact that it was a situation where one of the downfalls that I had was that I was good at listening, good at finding problems, and very quick at finding solutions to problems. So much so that I got stuck in this role of always fixing things. Even though I had the knowledge to show off what I could do in terms of software, I was always being asked to fix things and to put out fires. Now, I had consistently gone to my management and asked, okay, fine, I understand that I'm doing this, but what is the guidelines in terms of getting to a new project? What is the time in terms of doing something new, something that will avoid all these fires that I'm putting out? I never really got a response up until about 1 week before I left the company. And I had a lot of good friends there. I still have a lot of good friends there. Tom, Patrick, Phil, Mike Katz, Marina. I mean, I can name hundreds of names on there. And it's funny that me, Patrick, and Phil were sort of this team of three. We all had cubicles next to each other. We were all unhappy at that point about what was going on. And in fact, what happened was we all three gave our notice on the same day. Those two found separate jobs. One of them in the city, one of them dealing with a defense contractor. I myself decided that it was time to go off on my own. My experiences with bad management and people not rewarding people to be, forward looking really didn't sit well with me. And even though I knew of companies that I could go to that were more, accepting, I wanted to try something on my own. So I just took some time off after leaving the company. And additional backstory on that, I had the finances to make that choice. The thing is I'm living at home. I was looking for a house at the time, but never really found something that I really needed to move into. My sister wanted, I sort of stayed home to keep my sister company a little bit, but needless to say, I've got finances that could keep me at home and, reasonable in terms of, a living situation for 2 to 3 years. I don't spend that much money. The stuff I spend on is video games. So I started thinking to myself, I thought I was going to do something with Android app development, and I still take a look at it from time to time. But the more I thought about it and the more I thought about what I wanted to do, I realized that gaming was a big part of it. Gaming has been close to me ever since I've been young. My first game system was actually a Game Boy. My parents were very motorcycle enthusiasts. My mom was part of the Women on Wheels Club, and she had a sidecar. And one vacation, she wanted to take us, or my mom and dad wanted to drive down to Atlanta. Well, I was about 6 or 7 at the time, and needless to say, a 6 or 7-year-old in a sidecar, just looking at the countryside, a kid with ADD, mind you, probably not the best idea. So my parents smartly got me something to keep myself entertained, and that was a Game Boy. Needless to say, they may regret that decision from now, because obviously I'm doing this on a constant basis, but I thank them for that, because gaming has been sort of something that has kept me sane for the majority of my life. And it's something that I realized that, I want to share my experiences of the world with, how gaming has changed my life. And so I thought, well, I had been looking at YouTube, and I thought, maybe that's the way. Maybe that I can share my experiences there. And so started this channel. It started with that modded Spectre video. And I've learned more and more from that video, from doing videos and learning, what it takes to produce content on a daily basis and what you guys like to see and what you guys don't like to see. But more so, something that I was actually enjoying. But beyond that, there's something that's really important to me in gaming, in terms of gaming to me is more than just a hobby. It's more than just something that I do in my spare time. And in particular, it's helped me deal with a lot of issues that have come up in my life. I think the prime example I can give, even though the members involved in it may disagree with me at some points, is my experience with the 5th Highlander team. For those who don't know what Highlander is, it's a competitive format in TF2 where you play one of each of the TF2 classes. I had joined a server called 5th, Fucked in the Head, which is sort of hilarious when you think about it, but and these guys were, they seemed like a good group of guys. I had been part of an RTD clan earlier. It sort of fell apart when the server sort of changed locations and things just went downhill, but these guys were a bunch of good guys, and I played on their server for a while, and then they said that they were looking for, somebody to join their Highlander team in terms of a medic. Well, I had played medic in RTD. And I think that leads me to part of what I've dealt with. So for those who don't play TF2, the medic is a class that is basically you're healing everybody else. you don't have that many offensive choices. You do have the choices of, you know, you have a syringe gun, you have a crossbow, but in terms of your self-defense, you're really dependent on the rest of your team. And one of the things I've dealt with for the last several years, I've seen a therapist for, is my issues with control. It came up reasonably with the situation in Gen Fair, where I felt that things were completely out of my control and how to do things, like being able to, you know, do a good job in terms of being able to do what I wanted to do. And I hated that. And even though I couldn't control everything, how much time my dad worked, you know, what the stupid decisions that were made, I started to understand that I needed to not pick my battles, but understand that people are not going to make the right choices. TF2 has helped me understand that even though I'm completely reliant on the team, I'm completely reliant on them, keeping them alive, and that's not always going to happen. That is not, I mean, things happen. Spies get to you. Soldiers get to you. And I have to apologize to my team for some of the frustration I've shown at times where, you know, I get angry. I mean, when I get stabbed for the third time, or, you know, I get bombed for the third time, I'm legitimately upset. And yet they still seem to support me, and even though I'm obviously having issues. And I think over the time I've grown to learn that, you know, it's okay. That stuff is gonna happen, and to sort of deal with it. Sometimes it's good to step away. Sometimes it's good to, you know, change things up and, you know, play a game of Pyro or a game of Soldier. But so I do want to extend a thank you to the 5th team, especially the Highlander team, Darcy, Muhammad, Morshu, Elasso, Rambo, Matt Knight, Melon, Gary, Stu, all you guys, and everybody on the 5th server, because that's helped me grow as a person. But I think that's where the point that I want to sort of point out is the fact that, to me, gaming has helped me through a situation where I don't think other medias could do what gaming has done for me. Gaming has helped me escape from, you know, situations that I'm not happy with. Gaming has helped me improve myself as a person. You know, when I was younger, I would play, I mean, some of my math skills, I think, were because I would play these educational math games all the time, Math Blaster and things like that. It's such a shape-shifting medium that it can sort of mold people for who they are. And that's what I think the strength of gaming is, in terms of, you know, it can really make you learn about yourself, or make you learn something new, or just, you know, have you escape a situation you never would have before. It's why I see situations with games journalism and political correctness and censorship, and I react so strongly against it. I am of the opinion that it's better to be open and to understand, rather than to shut your ears, or you shut down and, you know, put your fingers in your ears and yell la 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 la. It's a part of the reason that I wanted to join Tech Raptor, and they've willingly taken me on, and I thank you, Rude Religion, and those guys out there, so that I can get my opinion out there and say, hey, look, this game is good, this game is bad, this game is something that you can learn from. Because in the end, I think being more open about things and understanding where the strengths in games are is a good thing for everybody. And it's why I react so negatively when things like, you know, the banning of GTA 5 in Australia. I understand that some people have problems with the game, but I don't think that's a good thing for the medium as a whole. I do think games can influence people. I've just said so. I think that's a decision to make, in terms of, you know, we are human beings, we are adults in most cases. Now, for children, on the other hand, there's a reason why the ESRB system exists. I do believe if a kid is exposed to violent media over time and not given any sort of, you know, context to it, yeah, that he may think that is a reasonable solution to problems if he doesn't understand the circumstances. But I don't think that's on the media itself. I think that's on understanding the media and putting into context, parroting, everything like that. And so that's why I do this. That gaming for me has transformed my existence almost to something where I'm happy with what I'm doing now. I mean, over the last couple of months, I've been making these videos, and some people have said, well, you seem stressed. Yeah, I may be stressed when I'm trying to put 2 videos out a day, but the stress to me is a lot different. The stress to me is, I want to make something good. And when I've made something, am I always proud of it? And 100% no, but I'm generally happy with what I put out. And I'm happy to see those comments, and positive or negative. I'm happy to get that feedback. And I want this to succeed. I really do. And so the thing that's always been sort of in the back of my mind is the promotion thing. I don't like promoting myself. I really don't. It's one of those situations where just like, I don't like being the person yelling about himself. I like letting the media talk for itself and try to let the quality talk for itself. But in the end, I do have to do it. I've learned a little bit more. I've become more comfortable with that. It's another learning experience. So in the end, it's a media worth fighting for. And I think several people who have not been involved in the media in question make opinions about the media that are not only infactual, but are just plain wrong. And I will fight for that media till probably the day I leave this mortal plane, because I feel that strongly about it. I look at games like Chrono Trigger. I look at games like This War of Mine. I look at games like, the original Final Fantasy series, and I'm not talking 13, guys. I look at games like the game Tetris, and I see things that have given me so many positive experiences in my life. Really, when I come down to it, even though I've played some shitty games, I can't think of a lot of negatives. Some people may say, well, you don't go out much. I've met some of my greatest friends because of video games. Some of the greatest people that I've met, some of the most interesting people I've met because of video games. I don't go out that much. I do talk with people a lot. I do talk on the internet a lot. Could I go out more? A little bit, yeah. But am I happy with what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. So, in the end, that's why I do this. And I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from in terms of why I play the games I play and do the things I do. That's pretty much it. Later, guys. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have a chance, leave some feedback and comments below. If you liked the video, hit that like button. And if you want more content like this, hit that subscribe button. This is Dragnix signing off, hoping that gaming brings as much fun to you as it does for me.